Hi, friends. Just give me a second to get set up here. Okay. Hi, I'm T. AudioLink is really cool and fun, and not as hard as it looks, but it can be intimidating to dive into a new subject in avatar creation. So I'm here to give you a few tips and guide you through actually implementing some of the AudioLink features on your avatar. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to either pop them in the chat or raise your hand and let me know that way. But without further ado, I'd like to get started. Now, for this specific demonstration, I'm going to be using Usasaki. I've got a new Unity project set up here with VCC. I'm using a brand new project for a few reasons. One is that I have a pretty unusual setup, so I would like to make this as universal as possible. The other, rather, as a follow-on point to that, I'm not encouraging you to use a new project. I encourage you to use AudioLink features on the same avatar that you quote-unquote daily drive. There's no penalty to adding AudioLink features onto your avatar if you're not in an AudioLink world. So, worst case is that it just won't turn on. And there are ways to, if you want to AudioLink emissions, for example, there are ways to guarantee that you will have a base emission level as well as an additive level with AudioLink. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Now, in this project, I only have Usasaki, just the package from Booth. Stream is paused. Weird. Can I make it not do that? Interesting. Okay. This is definitely a learning process for me right now. I'm not even screen sharing the Unity window. I actually have a virtual camera through OBS running. So there's no it's not capturing an application. It should be just capturing the camera. Oh, hold on. Let me try this instead. Okay. Here we go. All right, there we go. Sorry about that. Why is it reversed? Oh, okay. Sure. All right. Anyway, with that technical difficulty out of the way. So I've got just the base Usasaki package in my project here. I don't have any shaders or anything. So for this demonstration, I'm going to be using the newest versions of I'm going to be demonstrating with lilToon and with Poyomi. So if you haven't got these shaders yet, go ahead, go to the GitHub URLs. They're in the description for this event and download the newest packages. For Poyomi, you can also go to the Discord and get it from there. So I'm just going to quickly import these into my project. So here I'm importing Poyomi 8.1.166. And this is going to take a second. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to raise your hand. I'm not going to put a pause on things immediately, but I will give you a chance to ask any questions that you have. Okay, we've got Poyomi imported now. Let's get lilToon in here. All right, cool. And one last thing from the Creator Companion. Come on. It is not letting me grab the Creator Companion window. All right, this is a great time for all this bad shit to be happening, isn't it? Interesting. Let's try that again. All right. Nope, that's not the right one. There we go. So now we're going to go to the VCC. We're going to import AudioLink. And it is just that easy, provided that VCC works. Give that a second to import. I always just hit no thanks here. I don't actually know what that dialog window does. And I've never bothered looking into it because I always forget about it as soon as I close out of it. Okay, here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do here is grab one of these prefabs. So here we go. Here's our little scrunk. Let's put him at the world origin. Okay. So here's our little guy, right? We're going to go to our materials. And whenever I'm working on AudioLink stuff like this, actually, this is a good point to touch on right here. I really like the way that these materials are laid out for Usasaki because whenever I'm working on materials, I will always just grab all of the materials that I want to edit and change them all at the same time. So this is really useful for example, if I want to put a certain effect on like my hair, my body, my clothes, I can go to my body, my hair, and my clothes right here and change everything all in one go. So I'm actually going to, I believe, is this using a different, oh, these are all locked. So I'm going to have to take a second to unlock these here. And do not forget, by default, well, you guys aren't going to be starting new projects, but by default, Unity puts a light in the scene for you, very helpfully. I'm going to be playing with lighting effects today, so I'm going to go to Window Rendering, Lighting Settings, and I like to dock this right up here, and then this gives me a quick way to just mess with the light levels. And so this is going to use the skybox that you have set as your light source. So if you have, for example, like any reflective properties on your materials, they'll reflect the skybox. It's basically a cube map in any other world. So there we go. So now let's get started with, actually, I'm going to really quick duplicate these materials. And then these are going to be my lilToon. So body base, we're going to do hair. Oh, why is this one? This is opaque. Oh, okay. So you can only, I'm just going to make this toon outline and not use the outline feature. So you can only modify properties for multiple materials at a time if they use the same exact shader. Even if the shaders all have the same properties, actually, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to update all these to 8.1 because I accidentally made that one 8.1. So you need to make them all the same exact shader, even if they have all the same properties. Otherwise, it just doesn't work for some reason that I'm not entirely sure of. So do we have any questions up to this point? Okay. So the first thing I'm going to cover is doing emissions. So for Poyomi, emissions are under the special effects section. For this example, I'm going to start with just doing the eyes because eyes are a pretty popular, they're a pretty popular thing to just put emissions on. So I'm going to open up, so Usasaki comes with PSD files. Give me a second to get those opened. Texture, PSD, And then we're going to just drag these in here. And now I'm going to delete the PNGs. And then for this PSD, we are going to enable alpha is transparency. Why are you not transparent? I'll figure that out later. Do that, and do that. And now looks good, right? So we're going to put our hair back. We're going to put our face back. And we're going to put our body back. And then I'm just going to delete these glasses because we don't actually need these. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and so for emissions, generally in computer graphics, it is expected that you will make both a mask and a map for any kind of effects that you do. We have the luxury here of being able to just specify that we want, or to just specify the map, because we're going to have access to alpha. So I'm going to delete a lot of this stuff that we don't want. And before I overwrite my base, I'm going to make that. Okay. Until we have just the eyes. Okay. So now we've got our eye emissions. This, oh yeah, we need to remove that too. No? Weird. I wonder. Okay, it just didn't like something about the PSD not being exported from GIMP, I guess. Anyway. I'm going to turn my lighting down. Oh yeah, that's right. This particular booth artist really likes to have a very high, a really high minimum brightness. So I'm going to go into light data really quick, and min brightness, I'm going to just turn this down to 0. Hair eyebrow, this one should be using the same texture as this. Back. There we go. So I'm going to quickly do that also for my hair, because I didn't have the right one selected. Okay. So on our body material here, in your case, it might be different. You might have a separate material for your face. You might have everything atlased. Your mileage may vary. If you need any help with that, feel free to just make a thread. And we're going to go to special effects. We're going to enable 2 emission slots here. So emission slot number 1 is going to be our emissive just as it is. Oh, right. So since the color I selected here is white, it is just it's just setting the opacity for all of the pixels underneath it to 100%. We actually need to make the background for this black. So even though it looks like this entire texture area is empty, any layers that previously had any data in them will still retain that data, and you're going to have a bad time. So there we go. So now, even though this is white, black is all zeros. So when you multiply 0 by any number, you get 0, which is complete darkness. All right, awesome. So now this is like, we can consider this our base emission. And, so pretty important. The most important checkbox that you're going to check here today. Why is this? Oh, it's still 8.0? Weird. I'm going to turn all of these to 8.1. Really quickly. 8.1.166. And then outfit. Why don't you have a texture? I did put the texture back in here, didn't I? Okay. So now, the most important checkbox that you're going to check today is this one right here. So in Poyomi, with your material selected, you go to the inspector, and it's at the very top of the hierarchy layers right here. It's not buried under any menus. You just click this button, and you don't need to go in here. You don't need to fiddle with any of these settings. You can. I encourage you to. But for the purposes of this lesson, this is all we need to do, is just check this box. So now we've got our base emission. We're going to go back to our body here. We've got our base emission. And this is basically what we're going to see when there's no AudioLink effects going on. And now that leaves us free to do what we will with this second emission slot. And in this case, I would like for this material to light up my eyes. For example, whenever there's a kick, right? So right now we don't have. Okay, well, there's not much I can do about that. So right now there's not any real way that we can demo our AudioLink effects. So we need to go to Packages, AudioLink, because we imported AudioLink earlier, Runtime, and then the AudioLink avatar prefab right here. We're going to take this and we're just going to drag it into our scene hierarchy. You can drag it right on top of the name of the scene, or you can just drag it into the window here. It doesn't really matter. And it's important that you have a camera in your scene, because for AudioLink effects to work, you need to have an audio listener. Sorry, give me just a second here. There we go. Excuse me. So you need to have an audio listener in your scene. When you're actually playing VR chat, your player viewport acts as the audio listener. But in this case, we just need to make sure that we have a camera in our scene. Whenever you open a new project in Unity, it puts a new camera in there. Most people don't delete it. Some people do. This has tripped me up personally a few times. So if you're ever sitting here with the AudioLink avatar prefab and you can hear the music and everything seems to be working, but your AudioLink effects just won't work, make sure you have a camera in your scene. I'm actually going to mute this because I've heard this song so many times. Okay. Well, actually, I need to make sure that works. So just dragging the AudioLink avatar prefab in there, I'm going to start. And I can hear the song so I know that at least the YouTube DLP component is working and it's putting out audio into the scene. So now what we can do is we can go to our body material. And actually, I'm going to take this camera really quick. I don't have Gesture Manager installed, so I'm going to have to do this manually. All right, that's good enough. Oh, one more thing. So I've got my camera in place, but you'll notice there's a really long delay when I press the play button to when it actually starts the scene. If we go to Edit, Project Settings, and then we scroll down here, at the bottom we have Enter Play Mode Options, Experimental. I'm not exactly sure what this does. It either just bypasses some kind of initialization or it caches something. But instead of pressing play and then waiting like 3-4 seconds, now we press play and it's much faster. The new AudioLink player is async, so it's not, you can still interact with the UI while it's loading. That wasn't the case for a while, which really sucked. So we've got our song playing and we can get into play mode nice and quick now. So let's go to our emission right here. And under this emission slot, we're going to just check this AudioLink checkbox. And this is going to drop down a few options for us. The one we're going to be focusing on here today is emission multiplier band. There is strength add, but that has always acted kind of flaky for me, so I just avoid it. And center out is fun, but I've never really found a use for it. There's also down here intensity threshold and duration. In any AudioLink world, there should be a controller where you can control the decay and the fall off for the activation signal that AudioLink produces. This is just kind of a way for Poyomi to interact with that a little bit and supplement those so that if you want your avatar to act slightly differently than what is configured for the world, you have the option to do that. I'm not going to really go over how these work today because it's not really intuitive. It's kind of hard to explain it. But if you play with these controls and you go into here, you go to the AudioLink avatar. No, you just, hold on, I forgot where it is. Oh, it's up here. So there's this actual AudioLink component right here, and this has basically, why can I not, I really want to just move this up. There we go. So this has basically all of the controls that you'll find on the AudioLink controller in a world on it. So you've got your gain, bass, treble, you've got your crossover settings. And right here, this is the fade length. I really like a short fade length and a strong decay. So this just changes the behavior of the curve to, so this is a linear curve and then this one's an exponential decay and then it interpolates between them. So I like a nice sharp, I like my AudioLink to be really responsive. So now we're going to go back to our material again. And so under under emission multiplier band, we can select whether we want our effect to be activated by bass, low mid, high mid, or treble. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'm just going to leave this at bass, but we will move on to some of the other bands in the more advanced parts of the lesson. So officially, I recommend that you start with your minimum at 0 and your maximum at 1, and then you adjust from there. So if we take a look at this, let's see how this looks. All right, that looks pretty good. So now if I were to upload this avatar right now and take it into a world that has AudioLink and then play, play this song, it would react exactly like that. So congrats, that's AudioLink. That's how you do it. There are a whole host of other effects that you can apply AudioLink to. Another favorite of mine is rim lighting. So I like to use rim lighting as an almost like a kind of a shadow effect. Normally you would put a mask on here so that all of these ugly parts around like the eyes and the mouth don't show up, but this is just a quick and dirty demonstration just to get the point across, so I'm not going to worry about that. And again, I'm just going to use bass here, and then we'll turn that on to 1, and then so there's add. And then you can make it emissive, and you can adjust the brightness. So there's a lot of stuff to play around with right here. What else did I have? Oh, vertex glitching. This is a fun one. So if we go to colors and normals, vertex glitching, we will, and I'm going to go back actually to right here. I'm just going to do all of my materials all at once. Colors and normals, vertex glitching. And then by default, this actually just works on an interval. So if we just wait here for a second, we should see it. There we go. The effect is a little bit too subtle for my liking by default. So there we go. All right. So now, yeah, glitch band right here. This, all you got to do is check AudioLink right here. And so we can do that to disable the timed part of vertex glitching. Just set the interval to 0, and then it will only react to AudioLink. All right, and for the lilToon users in the crowd, I would like to give you guys a little bit of love. So I'm actually going to lilToon. Okay, so for my base material, I'm using lilToon outline, and I need to remember to actually apply it. So there we go. Now we're going to go to our textures. Body base. Why do you look like a weird skeleton? This is not behaving the way I expected. Why are you doing that? Okay, so that's not working. I'm just going to make a new material. Am I high? Why is this not working? Okay, I guess I'm going to have to look into why this isn't working. Because normally I would expect putting my texture in here would do something. Right? Yeah, body base low. Animated materials. I don't have them disabled. Shouldn't. Huh. I'm going to have to look into that, because this is the first time I've run into this issue. Very cool Discord moment. Well, I am recording this in 1080p, so if you need to go back, or if you need any clarification, you can either ask or review the footage once I upload it. I'm sorry, there's really not a whole lot I can do about the bit rate. I definitely know for a fact that my connection is pretty solid. So I attribute that to whatever CDN Discord is using. All right, so we're going to just skip over lilToon for now. And we're going to do something really quick that I personally really love. And that is just a nice quick little shit post. So let's put all of our poi materials back because poi works. So we're going to disable vertex glitching, turn on Vertex Options, and this is, yeah, this is an easy way to get yourself into some trouble here. And then we are going to, what's the default here? Let's go to default. There we go. All right. So, Vertex Options, if you've never played with this before, actually has a lot of really cool stuff in it. One of the cool things in here is AudioLink. So we can do, for example, actually I haven't tested if this works with barrel mode. I really hope it does. But there are some things that we can do while we're in here. So I'm just going to scale my little character here on the low mid channel. This effect has also been used for making your character's head nod. So if I just target this renderer right here, and I do, hold on, what's the rotation that I want? Well, I'd need to separate the body and the head mesh on this, which is something that's outside of the scope of this single video. But you would be able to rotation. Here we go. Rotate it on Z. That might be a little too subtle. And I'm going to pull the camera back a little bit here. All right, that's too much, but I think that gets the point across. So the point is that if you play with this, you'll be able to achieve an effect that makes it look like your character's head is nodding with the kick drum. And you won't have to actually do it yourself. So it increases immersion and it keeps everybody engaged, and it's really cool. So next I'm going to cover Iridescence. So Iridescence, if you're not familiar, is an effect that oh, there we go. It's an effect that it almost emulates I'm trying not to dig into science terms, but thin film interference. If you've ever seen like a butterfly's wings reflect the light a certain way and you can kind of see the rainbow in it, it works a lot like that. So we're going to go back into our materials here. Yeah, it's kind of a fake. It's kind of a fake refraction. But since we're doing it in shader, we get a lot more control over how it actually works. So we don't need to be physically accurate with it. So we can turn on iridescence here. And if we click on this, oh my gosh, nothing is working today. So when you click on this, it's supposed to open up the Thrice Gradient Editor. But today, I guess, because I'm on camera, it wants to be temperamental. So I'm going to go into a different project and grab another one that I already have made up. So we're in here. So we're just going to grab this. Put this in our ramp section. And then when we do our blend, we can see that it acts almost like a matte cap, basically. So the effect is the most convincing when you use add blend mode, but this is a video game and we're artists and we get to do whatever the hell we want. So if you like the way something else looks, do it that way. I'm going to stick with add here for now. And then the real fun parts are in here, because when we add AudioLink to the mix, we can make this look a lot more interesting. So far we have been concentrating on just using bass to drive our effects, but in my opinion, that's not exactly an exciting effect, because it basically just turns into your effects becoming periodic in sync with the music. What I really like to do is mix the bands together to create different effects. So it makes the effect more dynamic and more interesting to watch. So this is a great section for doing that kind of thing. So we're going to, hello, turn on. I told you to turn on the first time. Okay, so we're going to actually leave our emission band as bass here. But then for our intensity band, we're going to use high mid. And then chronopan this is basically hue shift. There are a few different ways to make this react to the AudioLink effect. You're going to kind of have to play with them to get a feel for what they do. Some of these effects will return to the original hue after AudioLink is done. Some of them just cycle through the hues continuously. So let's see here what I select. Fixed speed increase when the band is dark. Stationary when light. Let's try motion moves back and forth as a function of intensity. I like the way that sounds. So we're going to choose for our intensity band. Well, actually, because in the beginning of this song, and I don't feel like going to go get another demonstration song for this, I'm just going to use bass for all of these for now. Actually, I'll put low mid. And then, so this speed right here, this is actually how fast it cycles through when your hue shift is going. So in this case, motion moves back and forth as a function of intensity. So this means that our motion moves back and forth at a speed of 10. So if I made this a 1, it would be a speed of 1, and a speed of 100 would be 100 and so forth. This is all computer graphic stuff, so there's not any really meaningful units we can use. And I'm not actually sure under the hood whether it's doing HSV or doing some weird RGB math. So it's not too hard to get an intuitive feel for how these effects work once you start playing with them. So that might be a little bit too fast. If I cared more to tweak the effect a little bit more, I would slow it down. I would probably mask off some of these areas. But you're probably not using an Usasaki, so that wouldn't be very useful for me to show off right now. Another thing we can do is AudioLink effects with decals. Now, decals in Poi are interesting because there are 4 decal slots and there is 1 decal mask. And so you are expected to use an RGBA mask with your decals. So I'm going to demonstrate really quick how to make an RGBA mask. In this specific example, I'm going to color my eyes 2 different colors here, or apply 2 different effects or what have you. So really quickly, in order to make nope. Actually, we're not even using that one. In order to make your mask, so we're going to open these up really quick. Okay. So I'm going to merge these. And then I'm just going to delete that. Grab my black here. Make sure my, fill similar colors. We're going to do this. And then we're going to go to our curves. And we're going to bring any pixels that are not black up to white. And then for the rest of these, we can select this area. Grab our bucket tool again. Not quite. Grab our bucket. Fill whole selection. And then there we go. So now we can do similar on the other mask. And then I'm just going to, ahead of time here, because I know this isn't going to work by just doing curves. Do that, swap this, change this back to fill similar colors, and then there we go. There's our second mask. Oh, I'm actually going to do the colors, the curves really quick, because there are some. Okay. All right. So now, what? Did I not export it? Mask 1. No, I did not. There we go. All right, so here we go. We've got our 2 masks now. So now in Poi, we're going to go to colors and normals and decals. And we're going to expand this decal RGBA mask section. And we are going to put this eye right here, and then put this eye right here, and confirm merge. Now what this actually does is it generates a new texture for you. And I think this might be a bug in Thrive's tool or something. But in order to get the alpha channel to work, you actually need to manually check alpha is transparency. And it automatically turns on crunch compression for you. So I don't know why it does that. I personally wouldn't have it do that. But here we go. So now any effects that we apply to decal 0 will only apply to the parts of the UV covered by this texture. Decal 1, parts of the UV covered by this texture. So let's go ahead and open up, turn on our decals here. Ooh, this new raycast feature is a new tool from Thrive I actually haven't had a chance to check out yet. So now what we can do is make our eyes a different color like that. And you can, of course, use the actual decal slot itself right here to put in like say this texture, and then it will use whatever blend mode settings you have to apply that texture to that area of the UV. I don't really care about that right now so much. I'm more interested in the AudioLink effects. And there's a lot of them in here. There's alpha mod. You can rotate your decals. I'm not actually even sure what side does. You can scale them. So there's a whole lot of stuff to play with in here. And I unfortunately don't have enough time to cover all of it in detail. But and the CC strip option here is really cool. So I do encourage you to experiment with that. But for now, just as a demonstration, I'm going to just do emission mod. And then we'll set that one min 10. So now you can see that when we enter play mode on the left, this eye starts dark and then gets bright. This eye starts bright and then gets dark. So this effect is really cool. Actually, there's a couple of textures in Poyomi we might be able to throw in here to demonstrate the effect. Let's try this. Tiling. Oh, maybe a little much. Four and four. Yeah, that works. We'll do that for that one, and then we'll do something that's got a lot of contrast. Or we'll do these hexagons here. And we'll do 5 and 5. That's not quite what I want. That's kind of hard to see, especially with how shitty the stream is, apparently. Is it possible to change the hue directly based on the average tone of AudioLink? Yes and no. There is a feature called color chord. And actually, it's really easy to access right here in the decals for color. If instead you change this to white, and then you can choose your theme colors. So these theme colors right here, these are the integrated Poyomi global theme colors. These are the color chord colors. These are these are automatically generated by AudioLink when you they're automatically generated by AudioLink. And then AL theme, this is actually a color that is specified by AudioLink in the AudioLink controller. And this can be changed at runtime and will affect all users globally. So is there a way to change the hue directly based on the average tone frequency AudioLink? Yes, that feature is called color chord. So what color chord does is it analyzes the signal that's coming in, and depending on the notes that are being played, it will send a certain color into the render texture that other shaders can then use to sample. So you don't get to necessarily choose which color gets displayed, but the color is influenced directly by the content of the audio. More specifically, it is influenced by the dominant frequency, by the note of the dominant frequency. So if you've got a 220 hertz signal, 220 hertz A, that's going to give you the same color as a 440 hertz, as 880 hertz, and so on. Yeah, you don't really get a lot of control over it, but if you are willing to just relinquish your artistic direction to the color chord, you're able to get some really cool effects for it. And yeah, so it does repeat each octave. So it is not it does not take in frequency data directly. It does some special math on it to determine what note is being played. So the DFT in AudioLink actually has 24 bins per octave. So it's actually separated by halftones, not full tones. But yes, so an A is an A is an A sharp is an A sharp is an A sharp, no matter what octave. Does that answer your question? Awesome. So moving on, I just want to quickly demonstrate some of the, I want to rotate this guy. So we'll do rotate by 10. And then for decal 0, we will scale this by 3. And then I actually want this to be blue again. It's kind of hard to see. Let's make that something a bit easier to see. So we'll do like that. And then oops. All right. It's a bit hard to see with the settings I have set up here, so let me actually adjust these really quick. Fade length, we'll be a little bit more lenient with that. Yeah, here we go. So as you can see, there's a lot of power to be found in decals. I did want to cover advanced AudioLink topics, debug materials, and put in some notes for shader authors. Well, I think I've got time for it. Let's just go for it. So that's all for character creation now. Now I want to get into a little bit of what AudioLink is doing under the hood. So let's bring some primitives into the scene. I'm going to make a quad here, and I'm going to rotate it 180. And if we go to AudioLink runtime, there are, where are they? Materials. So there are a few pre-made materials here that are excellent for debugging and that kind of thing. This isn't the one I wanted. There is a material here that outputs the, here we go. This is the one I wanted. So we're going to take a look at this now. So this is the AudioLink render texture. This is basically your GPU's scratch board for when it is running AudioLink. So you can see that there's a whole bunch of weird crap going on here. These right here, these 4 right here, these 4 rows of pixels, this is actually the hysteresis data that is literally being pulled by other shaders in order to drive the AudioLink effects that we see here. And whenever you see a shader that has smoothing effects enabled, what they're actually doing most of the time is they're taking a window of these pixels and averaging them out. So in that way, you're only able to influence the effect so much per frame, because per frame, you're taking the average of of this sliding window. There is a lot more documentation on what these render textures are actually doing and what this data actually represents. There is a lot of clever shit going on here with fast Fourier transform and discrete Fourier transform. And if you are into that kind of thing, I strongly recommend that you check out the source code, because it is well, if you're into that kind of thing, it's a really good read. I would encourage you to start out with looking at audiolink.cg Inc. This is more or less a table and a little bit of initialization stuff in here for for shader creators to be able to quickly reference areas of the AudioLink render texture. Because it's not guaranteed that with every update, everything is going to be in the same place. So instead of defining regions of the texture explicitly in your render or in your shader, you will use these defines and pull these variables from AudioLink instead. So for example, right here, AudioLink, this is 0, 0, and then this is base, right? So this is 0, 0. And in this case, this render texture is being represented in here as a matrix. So this is, and the matrix is indexed at 0. So 0, 0 is this very first pixel right here. Low mids, 0, 1. So that's X0, Y1. We move up 1. Low mids, or high mids, sorry. 0, 2. We move up another pixel, and so on. So this is this is going to give you basically everything that you need to pull data from the AudioLink shader. And then you can use this data to manipulate your shader effects in whatever way you wish. And then the other essential, in my opinion, file in this repo is the actual AudioLink shader itself. So if you weren't aware, everything that happens in AudioLink is done in this shader. Everything that AudioLink does is just HLSL. Everything else in the AudioLink package is just supporting infrastructure. So it thinks stuff like the controllers, the Udon sharp scripts that are needed to integrate into worlds. It's all just in support of this shader. This shader takes care of everything from the fast Fourier transform, discrete Fourier transform, auto gain, generating the waveforms, doing the DFT binning, splitting up the frequency bands, averaging everything out, and sending out activation values. It is all handled by this shader. So if you're a shader creator and you want to implement AudioLink effects in your shader, this is where you do it. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. And I will see you next time.